This episode is sponsored by our trusted lawyers. If you have any legal queries or require representation, contact Miriam Altaf.
If you'd like to advertise your company, feel free to get in touch. According to court documents, Dwayne Mahorn, a grime MC by the stage name of Dirty Goods, got into a heated confrontation with Sabah Shah on the evening of the 4th of November 2005. There's reports to suggest that the confrontation between the two men was in relation to a song made by Sabah Shah. These lyrics were deemed disrespectful by Dirty Goods, which led to a heated dispute. Goods confronted Sabah. Court evidence goes on to state that a group of youths, including Shah and his friend Richard Holmes, went to Mahorn's home address in Chingford after their initial encounter. According to cell site phone evidence after the confrontation, Dirty Goods decided to telephone his half-brother Carl Dobson, a grime pioneer also known as Crazy Titch, and Anthony Green. Anthony Green and Mahorn lived on the Chingford Hall estate at the same address. In fact, Anthony Green is believed to be Mahorn's stepfather. Court documents say that Titch and Green both made their way to the estate along with others. Later that evening, there was a further confrontation between two groups outside the community centre on the Chingford Hall estate. At around 12:45 a.m, a number of shots were fired, and a 21-year-old man by the name of Richard Holmes was shot 3 times. Once in the arm, once in the leg, and once in the back. Ambulance services were called to the scene, but were unable to save the victim. A police investigation was immediately underway. Shah, a rapper by the name of Shaker the Baker, was questioned by police over the murder. Here is a footage of Shah's police interview.
If I ask you to tell me the story, right, and you tell me the whole story, then there's absolutely no way that anybody can ever say, oh, well, by asking that particular question, by saying that particular thing, DC Brown put an idea in his head. You see what I'm saying to you? Yeah? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah.
So with what involving dogs?
Well, obviously we both know what evening we're talking about, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And we both, I guess, can work out that there must have been a reason for it, for what happened to Richie, okay? So can you tell me what you believe the reason that this incident happened?
Well, I believe the reason was what?
Yeah.
Well, that night, obviously, me and Dogs, it's not like we've rarely spoken in the past or anything, but obviously we know each other, right, yeah? Because we're both artists. That's the worst, yeah? So, he's come up to me in the street that night, and he's gone, what's your name? Are you sure? It's me, yeah? He said, get in my car. And I'm going, what are you talking about? If you're going to do anything, there. And he's gone, something like, no, I'm not going to do anything anyway, so just get in the car, innit? If you feel safe, you can get in the car. I thought, right, then innit, he's being normal about it, so I'm going to get in the car. Got in the car, drove me down the road, talking about one song that I did, yeah? Because in the song I say something about I lost respect for dogs, yeah? Or something. And he's like, alright, so explain this and that. And I'm like, bruv, I can't explain to you, innit? This is exactly what I said. Like, alright, so what is it? And he's like, he started shouting and all that, so obviously I just stopped paying attention after a little while, and then because it's not like I'm scared of dogs, like it's not like he's a figure around anywhere that I'll be afraid of. I don't know anything about him for me to be afraid of him like that. So obviously, and then he's locked the door, he's told me to apologise and all that, but I've told him, look mate, yeah, obviously that if that was the case I wouldn't have done it in the first place. Like, we're both artists, you don't lock me in cars and all that over this, like. And then he's like, alright, I don't like the way your attitude or whatever not. So then, like, he's unlocked the door and told me to get out of the car. And then I was thinking a minute ago I wasn't allowed to get out of your car, but now you're telling me to. I got out of the car, whatever not. I was walking down the street, and then as I got near Chingway, I've seen Richie And Richie's gone to me, yeah, you was in Dubs' car, what happened? Da, 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 da. Obviously, I've told him the story. He's told me to get in the car and that and that and that. And he's told me, did he touch you? I said, no. And he said, so what, he didn't get physical towards me? No. So he said, alright then. And then I said, leave it, because he didn't do anything, innit? And he's like, no. Like, just don't worry about it for now. Like, I'm going to talk to him, innit? We're going around to talk to him, innit? And I thought, wait, but if there was anything that was going to happen, if Richie was going to do anything, he would have told me he was going to do anything. He weren't going to do nothing to Dogs. Yeah, but because obviously he knew nothing happened to me. So then obviously he's told me, look, yeah, leave it, like, don't worry about Dogs, innit? So obviously after that I've just gone about my business.
Yeah.
And then that night when I was on the block on the phone and then I was walking down, then I've just heard the screams and I went around there. When I see Richie on the floor, obviously that was in my mind, yeah. But then another thing that was in my mind was I was thinking, first of all, that would never expect it to happen over a song. I wouldn't expect someone to go and do that over a song. So I couldn't even be sure that was the reason why Richie was laying on the floor. But then obviously over the days I've heard countless rumours and rumours left, right and centre, and then I've just know what I know now.
Days after the fatal shooting, police attended Dobson's girlfriend's house. They were unable to locate him, so pursued to his mother's home. Police were still unable to locate Dobson, however, days later, he handed himself in. This was a day after his son's birthday. Let's go into the prosecution's case. According to evidence, the prosecution believed that Mahorn, Green and Dobson were jointly responsible for the killing on the basis of joint enterprise. The Crown believed that all three were alleged to have been part of a gun-carrying group and to have known what was likely to happen. Expert evidence revealed that the victim had been shot 3 times, once in the leg with a converted MAC-10 submachine gun, once in the arm, and fatally in the back, with the bullet passing through his heart. The fatal shot, as well as the one to the arm, was fired from a .45 revolver. Additionally, ballistics evidence indicated the presence of a third firearm at the scene. The prosecution case turned largely on the evidence of 3 eyewitnesses who gave evidence anonymously and from behind screens. Let's have a look at what the witnesses said. All 3 of them gave evidence anonymously behind a screen. They were referred to as A, B, and F. In summary, all 3 named Dobson, known as Crazy Titch, as being present at the shooting and as having had the MAC-10 submachine gun. The strength of that identification varied between the 3 of them. Let's look at the details. Witness A failed to pick Crazy Titch out at a video identification parade in November 2005. During her cross-examination, she was firm about Green being with Dobson at the time of the shooting. Her evidence was that she did not see Dirty Goods there. Witness B, however, said that Dirty Goods was there but that Green was not. It's important to mention that there was evidence that she had named Green on the night of the shooting as having been present. Witness B also failed to identify Crazy Titch at a parade on the 28th of January 2006, but she did so at a subsequent parade. F's testimony seemed consistent. He already knew Dirty Goods and went on to claim that Crazy Titch and Anthony Green were both there present on the night of the shooting. He identified Green at an identification parade. He described the applicant Green as saying to Crazy Titch about another man, "He is okay," and that man was allowed to walk away. Witness F also identified Crazy Titch at an identification parade on the 2nd of February 2006. In his evidence, he described Titch as jumping around, excited and shaking the gun. 2 out 3 of the eyewitnesses failed to be consistent. The prosecution believed it was important to present the defendant's previous convictions to the courts in front of the jury. However, the defense claimed that it would reduce the chances of a fair trial. The Crown successfully applied to adduce evidence of Dobson's and Green's previous convictions on the basis that they showed a propensity towards gun crime. Dobson was convicted of robbery on August 27, 1999, while using an air pistol with another in a betting shop. He was sentenced to 5 years detention. This, the prosecution say, is relevant to a matter in issue under Section 101. D of the Criminal Justice Act 2003, and it shows a propensity to commit gun crime and goes to knowledge of the carrying of a gun by another. In the case of Green, he was arrested in May 1994 in possession of a fully loaded semi-automatic handgun, and on the previous 2 days had held up 2 petrol stations and a store with a handgun and robbed employees. No one saw Green with a firearm at the community centre. but the prosecution assert that these offences go to a propensity to commit gun crime. The 3 robberies and firearms offences on the part of Green were committed in Canada. Now let's have a look at the defence. Court documents state that in the interview Dobson did not overtly deny presence at the scene. In a prepared statement, he said that at the time of the alleged offence he was not in possession of a firearm. His statement went on to say, "I would further like to confirm that I adamantly deny pointing a gun into the chest of Richard Holmes or shooting Richard Holmes." At trial, he denied being present and relied on an alibi. During trial, Crazy Titch's legal team challenged whether the previous conviction of their client was capable of establishing a propensity to commit an offence of the kind charged, namely murder. He stressed that the past conviction was for a robbery involving an air pistol. It was 5 years before when the applicant was a youth. It was a single offence committed for the purpose of gain. Certainly it was not strikingly similar. In interview, both Green and Mahorn denied presence at the scene of the shooting at the relevant time. At trial, both said that they had been on the estate at times that evening but were not present nor participating at the time of the shooting. What is important to highlight is that it was not alleged by the Crown at trial that the fatal shot had been fired by any of the 3 defendants. That shot was said to have been fired by a 4th man who was not on trial. But it was alleged that all 3 defendants were jointly responsible for the killing on the basis of joint enterprise. The jury came back with their verdict and found Carl Dobson, also known as Crazy Titch, guilty of murder under the joint enterprise law. They found Anthony Green guilty of murder under the same law and found Dwayne Mahorn, also known as Dirty Goods, as not guilty. Titch and Green appealed their conviction in 2008, but their appeal was unsuccessful. We spoke to Crazy Titch through a prison phone in an exclusive interview and asked him there was anything he could have done differently. Here is what he said.
Is there anything that I could have done differently? I guess there's many things. Sack my solicitors, especially when they was trying to get me or allow them to bring up any bad character references on the victim. You get it? That's my brethren, so that can't run. Yeah, there's not much. I guess we highlighted what was to highlight, and just people didn't care. If you ask anyone that knows about the court system or police or anything about the whole system itself, you'd be hard pressed to find people that can tell you they've had one of their main witnesses not pick you out on an ID parade but still go to court. That's wild in itself, and I don't get how that's allowed, because if you can't pick me out on an ID parade, how can you then testify it was me? And 2 witnesses didn't pick me out, and then they gave the second witness a second ID parade about 5 months after. I don't know how even that gets to be relevant in court or allowed. So differently, yeah, I guess. I don't know, man. You know, hindsight. You'd be a trillionaire if you had hindsight. But I guess differently, yeah, I guess it would probably just highlight the inconsistencies, the fact there's 0 forensic evidence, the fact that the phone evidence they wanted to submit said I wasn't in the area and I'd gone past the area. So my case is so uniquely just, it's like it's by chance. If that's the way to put it, it's like it's a chance thing. Like the jury just bought into whatever they was being told. But 100%, if you look on evidence base, my whole case is on identity. Yet I've just explained how they didn't even have that done correctly, if that makes sense.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to the victim's friends and family. It is important to mention that in some circumstances, court documents do not transpire what actually happened outside of court.
Over the years, shit's changed in the hood. I used to have a lot of respect for dirty goods. I used to see beans popping wheelies and endos. Now I see the Astras, the bullies and the SMOs. Over the years, shit's changed on the block.
This episode is sponsored by our trusted lawyers. If you have any legal queries or require representation, contact Miriam Altaf.